Set in a dystopian future ruled by an authoritarian regime, society is divided beyond repair. The rich live comfortably at the top, while ordinary people suffer under endless oppression. But to stop the lower class from rebelling, the government offers them one tiny illusion of hope. Every year, they hold a brutal nationwide competition known as the Long Walk. And the rules are horrifyingly simple. 50 teenagers are randomly selected from thousands of volunteers. Once the competition begins, they must keep walking down the highway non-stop. No finish line, no breaks, no escape, and there's only one rule they absolutely cannot break. Their walking speed cannot drop below 3 miles per hour. If a contestant slows down, they receive a warning point. 3 warnings.
Warning. Third warning, 49.
I'm gonna go.
And the soldiers marching behind them will execute them on the spot. The walk continues until only one person remains alive. That lone survivor receives unimaginable wealth and one wish granted by the government itself. The selected contestants aren't terrified, they are proud, hungry, ambitious. They genuinely believe they can win. Very early into the walk, one contestant suddenly receives his first warning for walking too slowly. Warning. Number 38. But another boy named Hank doesn't panic at all. In fact, he thinks the guy is smart. Because according to the rules, contestants are allowed 3 warnings before elimination. And if they maintain proper speed for 1 full hour, 1 warning gets erased. So the contestant intentionally tests the limits early while he's still full of energy. By learning exactly how slow he can safely walk, he can conserve stamina for later. It's risky, but clever. Not everyone agrees, though. Another contestant mocks him immediately. You think you're smarter than everybody else? The tension between competitors starts building fast. And soon, another participant decides to push the rules even further. Right in the middle of walking, the guy casually crouches down to fix sand inside his shoe. Everyone turns to stare. The warning system immediately activates. First warning, but he keeps tying his shoe slowly. Second warning. Still no panic. Everyone watching holds their breath. Then, just seconds before the third warning finishes counting down, he stands up and resumes walking. Safe. When he returns, he proudly explains it was all part of his strategy. He traded 2 warnings for 30 seconds of rest. But Hank thinks the move is idiotic. Because now the guy has to walk perfectly for the next 3 hours just to erase those warnings. Already, the competition is turning into a psychological war. Soon, the group reaches mile 17. So far, nobody has died yet, but cracks are starting to show. One contestant desperately wants a cigarette. Another warns him not to smoke because his lungs and stamina will collapse faster. Meanwhile, a skinny boy with glasses introduces himself. He reveals he's writing a book about the long walk and wants to interview the contestants during the competition. If you win, someone jokes, you won't need a book to get rich. Everyone laughs. For a moment, it almost feels normal, until the first death arrives. A contestant's leg suddenly cramps up badly. He stumbles, falls behind pace. A kind-hearted contestant nicknamed Ray rushes over to help him. But in doing so, Ray himself slows down and receives a warning. The injured boy collapses completely. Everyone watches helplessly as the countdown finishes. Then, the soldiers execute him instantly on the road. And just like that, the atmosphere changes forever. All the earlier joking disappears. Shaken by what he just witnessed, Ray nervously asks for a replacement water canteen. Although water is unlimited during the event, another contestant warns him not to drink too much. Because contestants are not allowed to stop walking, even to use the bathroom, and almost immediately, another contestant proves exactly why that's a problem. The exhausted boy begins stumbling uncontrollably. Warning after warning sounds out. One particularly cruel contestant named Avery mockingly jumps over the collapsing boy as if it's entertainment. People are disgusted by him, but nobody can do anything. Avery isn't just ruthless, he's strategic. He intentionally provokes others psychologically, hoping they'll lose control and get themselves killed. Eventually, one furious contestant can't take it anymore and attacks him. But after walking non-stop for hours, his exhausted body betrays him. He loses balance, falls hard, and moments later, he's dead too. By the time they reach mile 25, the government drones finally arrive to distribute food. It's supposed to help restore energy. But eating while walking creates new problems. Cramps. Digestive pain. Hank suddenly notices discomfort in his legs. Ray checks their pace carefully and suggests slowing down from 3.4 to 3.1 miles per hour, the absolute safe limit. Thankfully, it works, but not everyone is so lucky. One contestant completely loses control of his bowels while walking. Waste runs down his legs. The smell becomes unbearable. The humiliation crushes him mentally. And for the first time, nobody encourages a struggling contestant anymore. Because deep down, everyone knows he's already dead. As night falls, the walkers reach 35 miles. And the first night begins. For some of them, it will also be their last. By the middle of the night, exhaustion starts hitting everyone like a truck. Ray suddenly wakes up in a panic. It's already past 3 a.m. While half asleep, he accidentally slowed down too much and received a warning. Trying to keep Ray awake, another contestant nicknamed Black starts talking non-stop to keep his attention focused. But unfortunately, the real nightmare is only beginning. Ahead of them lies the only steep uphill section on the entire route. Even at the minimum legal speed, climbing it is brutal. And because it happens during the most physically exhausted part of the night, this hill has become infamous in previous competitions. More than half the contestants usually die here. And soon enough, gunshots begin echoing through the darkness one after another. By sunrise, the walkers have crossed 59 miles. Only 18 contestants remain alive. Still, surviving the hill feels like a victory in itself. But many are already reaching their limits. One contestant's ankle had apparently been broken for hours. The pain finally overwhelms him. He slows down, warnings stack up rapidly, and eventually, another body drops onto the highway. At this point, the surviving contestants barely even react anymore. The deaths no longer shock them. The boys who once laughed and joked together now walk forward in silence, emotionally numb. Even the major overseeing the event congratulates them. "You've reached 100 miles, he announces proudly. A distance most contestants never survive. But for one boy, the suffering becomes unbearable. Without warning, he suddenly tries to run away from the highway entirely. Instantly, the soldiers unload a storm of bullets into him, because no matter the reason, leaving the road counts as elimination. After witnessing that execution, nobody dares entertain thoughts of escape again. And after so many eliminations, the remaining walkers are no longer ordinary contestants. These are survivors, mentally stronger, more disciplined. Somehow, they push through the second night as well. But by the third day, one contestant named Arthur can't hold his stomach anymore. In total desperation, he drops his pants and uses the bathroom right there while still moving. Somehow, unbelievably, he finishes fast enough to avoid elimination. But because he has no time to clean himself, everyone else is forced to suffer the smell alongside him. Trying to distract themselves, Ray and Black begin talking more personally. Black notices Ray doesn't seem motivated by money like everyone else. And after everything they've been through together, Ray finally reveals the truth. His father once publicly criticized the long walk and warned people about how evil the competition truly was. For spreading dangerous ideas, the government executed him. Ray entered the competition for one reason only: revenge. If he wins, his wish will be simple. He wants a rifle, so he can assassinate the major in front of the entire country. By the time they pass 170 miles, many contestants are completely losing their minds. One desperate boy begs soldiers for help. Instead, he gets smashed to the ground with a rifle butt. Then a military tank rolls over him. Another contestant strips off all his clothes in delirium and wanders off the road in confusion, only to be executed seconds later. The remaining survivors continue dragging themselves forward into yet another night. Even Hank, the calm, intelligent strategist from earlier, is beginning to lose touch with reality. At one point, he suddenly turns around and starts walking backward toward the soldiers. The guards immediately perceive him as a threat and shoot him. The pain shocks him back to his senses, but the damage is already done. His injuries are too severe. He won't last much longer. By the fourth morning, the survivors are barely functioning. The rivalry disappears. What forms instead is something fragile, but real. Friendship. They begin encouraging one another sincerely, helping each other stay awake, keeping each other moving. They even make a promise: no matter who survives, the winner will take care of everyone else's families. Everyone agrees. Except Avery, the cruel contestant who spent the entire competition tormenting people. Now, for the first time, he seems genuinely remorseful. He apologizes repeatedly, tries to make amends, but nobody forgives him. And under the crushing psychological pressure of the walk, that rejection destroys him completely, consumed by guilt and isolation. Avery finally chooses to end it himself. The sound of the gunshot echoes endlessly across the empty highway. By the 5th day, only a handful of contestants remain. Yet somehow, they are still walking. But Ray's body is beginning to fail him in unexpected ways. Not his legs, his shoes. The soles are completely destroyed. Without hesitation, he tears them off and continues barefoot. Eventually, the competition enters a crowded city district. And suddenly, Ray spots someone in the crowd. His mother. She came to watch. At first, Ray tries to keep moving, but emotion overwhelms him. He runs toward her. His mother immediately screams in terror. "Don't stop walking. Go." But Ray breaks down emotionally. All this time, revenge blinded him. He never stopped to think about what would happen to his mother if he died too. She already lost her husband. Could she survive losing her son as well? As Ray begins falling apart mentally, Black risks receiving multiple warnings just to drag him forward and save him. After calming down, Ray quietly thanks him. Black gives him simple advice. If you really want to honor your mother, stop thinking about revenge. Those words hit Ray hard. And for the first time, he seriously questions everything he believed. Together, the remaining contestants continue onward in exhausted silence. 306 miles. And somehow, the end still feels impossibly far away. Soon, another contestant finally snaps completely. He rushes toward a soldier, grabs his weapon, and tries ending the competition himself. But seconds later, he collapses into a pool of blood. Dead. Night falls again. Arthur now begins stumbling badly. Ray and Black quickly support him from both sides. But Arthur already knows the truth. He's finished. He tells them not to forget their promise. Then suddenly pulls himself free and slowly walks toward the military truck behind them. Moments later, gunfire echoes again. Now only 3 contestants remain. The major announces proudly that the competition is finally nearing its conclusion. Don't fall now, he warns them. Failing near the finish line is worse than losing at the beginning. And surprisingly, the third finalist turns out to be Art, the quiet contestant from the beginning who carefully tested the walking speed limits. At one point, Black suddenly asks an interesting question: what would happen if all 3 of us slowed down together? Art immediately shuts the idea down. That wouldn't work. Then, after a long silence, he finally reveals the truth. He was never an ordinary contestant. He was a rabbit, a pacer secretly planted into the competition. His job was to maintain a steady speed and help regulate the pace for everyone else. That's why he understood the rules so perfectly. Normally, rabbits quietly fake elimination and disappear early before things become dangerous. But this year, everything changed. Because Art wanted to win for Real. And the reason is devastating. He reveals that he's actually the Major's illegitimate son. For years, he secretly worked for his father, hoping to one day be accepted into the family. But no matter how loyal he was, it never mattered. Eventually, he realized the truth: the system would never love him back. So this competition became his final gamble to change his fate. Art admits all of this because deep down, he already knows he's reached his limit. After saying goodbye, he simply stops walking. And despite being one of their own, the soldiers still execute him without hesitation. Now, only Ray and Black remain. As the crowd around the road grows larger and louder, the true horror of the competition becomes clear. Technically, the long walk has no finish line, But after years of brutal history, everyone already knows approximately how far a human being can physically go before breaking. Every additional step now is torture. And most of the spectators lining the streets aren't there to cheer. They came hoping to witness the final collapse, the final execution. Human beings gathering for entertainment at the edge of another human's death. Looking at the screaming crowds, Ray finally understands something. His original wish was meaningless. Killing the Major wouldn't change anything. The Major is just one face of a much larger machine, even if he entirely died in the hands of the audience. And with that, the story comes to an end. Ray immediately grabs him and forces him forward. Come on, just walk a little more. But while encouraging his friend, Ray quietly slows himself down. Deliberately, he sacrifices himself, partly to repay Black for saving him so many times. But also because Ray realizes something important. Black's optimism and kindness deserve survival far more than his own hatred and revenge. By the time Black realizes what's happening, it's already too late. Ray has used up all 3 warnings. The gunshots ring out, and Ray falls dead onto the highway. Black screams in agony. Now the final survivor, and the official winner of the long walk. The cheering crowd erupts around him. But the celebration feels sickening. Empty. Cruel. Black's grief completely overwhelms him. When the Major approaches and asks him to name his reward, Black makes a shocking request. He asks for a gun. The soldiers hesitate. But the Major confidently laughs it off. He believes Black would never throw away the fortune and status he's about to receive. The whole world is waiting for you, the Major says. There's more wealth than you can imagine. Don't throw it away. But in the very next second, millions watching live across the country. He pulls the trigger. The gunshot echoes through the silent crowd. And instantly, silence. Absolute silence. Did Black's rebellion awaken the people and ignite the first spark of revolution? Or was he simply crushed by the regime like everyone before him? The film never gives a clear answer. And that haunting open ending leaves the final meaning entirely in the hands of the audience. And with that, the story comes to an end.